Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Nassir Kasuri, and I'm a director and board member of the Beacon House School System. On behalf of the Beacon House School System, which is the organizer of the School of Tomorrow events, I'd like to welcome you to a world of tomorrow from darkness to light, which is the 12th edition of SOT events, and it's fully virtual this time for obvious reasons. The non-profit SOT event series was launched by Beacon House in 2000 as part of our CSR and to help inform the direction of the organization, while also engaging global communities in conversations shaping the future of societies and schools. I'd like to welcome our viewers to this discussion and remind you that you can post questions at any time during the event. We will endeavor to answer as many of them as possible at the end of the session, which will be half an hour, after which we'll hopefully get to the questions. So basically, getting on to the session topic itself, it is, it's always been believed rightfully that learning should be about goals. However, those goals, and however, how those goals are set and what direction they are taking should depend on the learner more than the teacher. Without giving ample consideration to the child's needs and preferences, education and learning cannot bear the desired expected results. So shedding some light on this matter today with us is Dr. Roger Schank. Dr. Schank has been a mainstay of the SOT event since the very inception. I think we've hardly had an SOT event without Dr. Schank, and he's always enlightened us with his views. Dr. Schank is an American artificial intelligence theorist, cognitive psychologist, educational reformer, learning scientist, and entrepreneur. Dr. Schank is perhaps one of the world's greatest proponents of letting children's needs and preferences drive education. I'd like to again welcome you to the session, Dr. Schank. Thank you for joining us again in this SOT, and I'm sure, as always, it's going to be an extremely interesting conversation. So just to sort of set the tone a little bit, as one of traditional education's harshest critics, you founded a number of your own educational companies, such as Cognitive Arts Corporation, the Socratic Arts, the XTOL, which is, I believe, stands for Exponential Training Online. So I was just wondering if you can share your vision behind some of these organizations and what have been some of their success and what have been some of the challenges you faced.
Well, I have to tell you that my vision for these things is probably delusional. I always imagined that what would happen is, and this happened when Arthur Andersen hired me to go to Northwestern in 1990, that I would get people, grown-ups, to see what education should look like, to create good training, and have them say in the end, well, this stuff is really great. Why don't my kids learn like this? That's never happened. I mean, I'm doing very well with training. We have lots of major big clients fixing their training. Schools never ask me for help. Schools already know all the answers to everything. And this is a problem because you can't budge them. Even if you get to the head of schools like you guys, it's all very well good, but the parents are who your problem is, and the parents are conservatives. I remember meeting parents. Are we still here?
I believe so. I'm not sure if it's choppy on my end or your end. Your voice was a little bit intermittent. Can you hear me?
Yeah, well, no, I see the pictures back. So I remember talking at your conferences, and once you introduced me to your parents, the parents of your kids, and whereas the teachers and your people who run the place all understood me and agreed with me, your parents didn't want to hear it. Your parents had only one question: will the kid get into Oxford? And that's the problem with education worldwide. All anyone's concerned about is, will they get into Harvard? Will they get into whatever their favorite school is? As if that's a good thing. And the reason they think it's a good thing is they want to stamp Harvard on their forehead. Once you meet somebody who went to Harvard, they'll tell you they went to Harvard within 2 seconds. What happened at Harvard that was so wonderful, I don't know, but it makes them important. And same with Oxford and Cambridge and any other school which has that kind of reputation. So as long as we consider school to be something preparatory to college, which everyone agrees it is, school can't be fixed. Because school should not have anything to do with college. College is college, high school is high school. Can we teach kids what they want to learn in school up until before they go to college? Also in college would be a good idea too. We can't seem to want to teach them what they want to learn because the teachers are in charge and the teachers and the parents are in charge and everyone thinks that what was there before is perfect. My favorite example is whenever I give a lecture these days, imagine 1,000 people in the audience and I'll start with, okay, who knows the quadratic formula? And
the quadratic formula is your favorite example.
I love it. And you have maybe 3 or 4 parents will raise their hands and I'll say, okay, tell it to me. And they will always tell me the Pythagorean theorem because they don't remember what they learned. If they remember and if they actually think they know the quadratic formula, sometimes they say it. And I say, that's ridiculous. Why do you know it? They said, because my kid was studying for the tests and I was tutoring him. We insist on teaching nonsense like the quadratic formula, which is of no use whatsoever, and pretend it's important. So hundreds of kids go through, or thousands of tens of thousands of kids go through high school and think, I'm very stupid because math is very hard. How about because you don't care? And how because you don't need it? Why don't we ask kids what they want to learn?
So tell me, I mean, absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. Of course, first, when we were talking about university admissions, unfortunately, I think the reality is that there's so many different stakeholders that actually expect, good grades and test results in order to let, kids get in. And then that subsequently, affects their employability. So, I think it's not entirely unreasonable of parents. I don't think they just want their children to go to good universities, for bragging rights, but, it's genuinely a gateway to a better future for them. So
yes, it is.
How do you think one can balance the two, really, right? Because, it's not like universities can, change overnight as such, right? I wish they would. In fact, I wish they put their money where their mouth is and have more diverse admission criteria than they do, but they don't currently. So that puts schools in a difficult situation. So, one has to sort of balance ground realities with what you're saying, which we all acknowledge. So how does one find that balance?
Well, the problem is I was working with a school in Florida and I met the parents. The parents did the same thing they did when I met with your parents. The reality is that they said, well, I won't get into Harvard. I said, this school has never sent anyone to Harvard in the history of the school. Could you get on to some other subject? No. And one of the problems we have here is that people don't understand what school is for. And there's a high school in New York City called Aviation High School. Aviation High School happens to be next to Kennedy Airport. And it was created as a way of producing people who would work at Kennedy Airport. They learned various job skills related to working at an airport. And they'd all go work, get a job after high school, work at the airport. Well, it was shut down. I mean, it still exists, but it no longer does that because it wasn't diverse enough. All the students were Black and Puerto Rican. So therefore, it was bad. And the fact that they were getting jobs wasn't considered at all. And they should be going to college. Why? This nonsense about college. Let me tell you about college. You can't change college. Okay, so I was a professor most of my life until I couldn't stand it anymore. It's the easiest job in the planet. The professors have their own backs constantly. They don't have to do any more teaching they want to. They protect their subjects by requiring you to major in something. So you have to study, in order to get into my advanced class, you have to take these elementary classes. And all the professors ever want to do is teach their advanced class because it's what they're thinking about now. They don't want to teach the kid. They don't care about the kids. They care about, the teaching isn't really their job. At a good university, the job of a professor is publishing and doing research. And teaching is their relevancy. So part of the problem here is getting universities to change. And as it happens, when Donald Trump was running for president 4 years ago, I knew his campaign manager, so I went to visit him. And he said, well, what would you do in education? And I said, I'll write out an education policy for Donald Trump, which Donald Trump never saw because Donald Trump doesn't listen to anybody saying anything. But my education policy was First thing you do is you get all the presidents of all the major Ivy League schools into a room, and you tell them, if you don't stop with your silly requirements, your SATs, your 3 years of this and 4 years of that, and blah, 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 you won't get any more federal funding. You have to stop screwing up the high school system. That would change it in a minute. I'm not telling you any president would ever do that, but that would change it in a minute.
No, I mean, that's true. It is going to, you know, the universities, unfortunately, their admission requirements do have exert pressure on what schools teach at the end of the day. Okay, so one of my questions is, you know, and I've asked you this before, and you know, to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm totally satisfied with the answer yet. So I'm going to ask it again. You know, you're presuming that, you know, kids, even like younger kids, you know, it's a separate matter. You know, at college, you've been, you know, you're older, you've kind of seen the world. But, you know, if you're talking about everyone, including young kids, there's like a presumption that, you know, they kind of, you know what they want to do, right? And then
that's absolutely true. I'm sorry, you have children?
Oh, I do have children, yeah.
And your children haven't told you in one way or another what they want to do?
I know, but it does keep changing also, right? And not because of any pressure I'm putting on them. You know, a lot of change. You know, if my son wants to be a pizza delivery man because he likes pizza, not that he wants to be a pizza delivery man, then I mean, you know, it may at a very young age, you know, be motivated by something which he himself will realize when he's older is not really very valuable, and he may want to do something more meaningful for him.
Let him change. Let him change. But when he wants to do something when he's 6, you let him do it. You love doing this? Do it. You love doing that? Do it. I had 2 children. They both loved doing something. I let them do it. What do they do now? What I let them do. Okay? My son just loved subways. All he wanted to do is ride on subways all day long. Well, now he's the chief innovation officer for the Los Angeles transportation system, because that's all he cares about. And his entire goal in life is to run the New York subway system, which he may get to eventually. But I let him do it.
I was going to get to that actually, but I'll get to it now perhaps. So, you know, and again, you know, there's another question, I think, in Pakistan, you know, where parents feel that they have, you know, they should have some role to play, or very strong role sometimes, probably too much of a role to play in what career decisions their children make. You've taken the example of your son. This is something you mentioned last time as well. In fact, I found that perhaps there's a bit of a contradiction in that, because the last time we discussed this, you actually said that your son wanted to be a history major when he went to college, and you told him that it's the most useless profession in the world, and that, you know, you essentially, you know, sort of suggested to him that since his passion since childhood had been subways, that's what he should do. So and then you know, similar sort of, story with your daughter, I believe, who wanted to be an English major, but you discouraged her, and she's an author now, but, you know, she, I think, did literature or something, not an English major. So don't you see that as a contradiction? You yourself,
no, not at all,
strong role in guiding your children.
Not at all. I was doing. I was overriding the school system, the college system. I was listening to them and overriding it. So Columbia University was selling the value of a history major. My son listened to him. When I said he couldn't be a history major, he said, "What should he be?" And I said, "You should major in subways." He said, "Well, how do you do that?" I said, "Well, why don't you find out?" Nobody at Columbia was asking him what he wanted to do. They gave him a set of choices. And so they make these really ridiculous choices. Same thing with my daughter. She didn't want to study literature. She wanted to write. So it sounds sensible to be an English major, but it isn't. These majors are set up by professors who don't have any practical abilities anyway. What does a history professor know how to do? So it isn't very useful to become a history major. And what I'm saying is that let kids do what they want to do. I'm doing something like that right now. I wrote about it on LinkedIn the other day. We're building a modding curriculum. And what's a modding
curriculum? Sorry?
A modding.
Modding curriculum. Okay.
Modding. It's called. I never heard of it. But one of the people who works for me, who's worked for me her whole life, has a kid who's a pain in the ass. He's always in trouble in school. He doesn't like this. He doesn't do that. And they're so frustrated. and I guess he's not going to get into college. I said, what does he like to do? He likes to take things and change them. He likes to take keyboards and make different versions of keyboards, to take computer hardware and change the things it does. So it turns out, when I started to talk to him, first of all, he was very smart, very articulate, and he cared about this. So we're building him a curriculum that teaches him what he wants to know. And it turns out he's not the only kid who wants to do that. There's lots of kids that do it. They're self-educated through things they find on YouTube, and they hang out with other kids who want to do the same thing. It sounds crazy to me, but he likes it. And how is it going to hurt him to get involved in something that he likes and get better at it and think hard about it? This is what I want. I don't care what you're doing, as long as you're excited and thinking hard.
Okay. So are there a set of base skills that you believe that people do need to have, in order to really, as a foundation, to get anywhere in life?
Well, that's a trick question, because what that question is so if you say it's very important to be able to do X, let's teach X. No, I'm not doing that. I'm letting you do things you want to do. If you want to do something, I'm going to help you do it. In the meantime, while you're learning it, you may need some skills that you need. Fine, well then you can learn them just in time. The whole just-in-time notion has been lost about the internet. What the internet is a valuable resource for teaching you things right the minute you need to know them. And a lot of times you don't know what things those are, because they may something just happened in the news, or some new event that you're just touching on. What you want is computers to be smart enough, and this is my AI background, to be able to see who you are and let you know what interesting stuff you might be interested in. Like a good friend who sees you trying to do something and says, well, you should look at this. That's what I want school to be. That's not to be school. I want education to be. And I want kids to be able to choose something they want to do and do as much of it as they want until they're tired of it and want to move on, or until they've reinvented the wheel. Whatever it is, I want them to be excited by what they do. And what I'm watching it now with my grandchildren going to remote school, where they're being blabbered at about nothing. My oldest grandson, who's 15, is complaining that they're talking about European wars, which as far as he can tell, well, Christians killing other Christians, and he doesn't care. And I said, well, you shouldn't care. What do you care about when the Protestants are fighting the Catholics? Well, that's what they teach. Why? Because they decided to teach it. And so they spend all their time teaching things that no one cares about. Not only my daughter is a writer, but her daughter is a writer too. She's 11. She can't stop writing. So let her write. What's wrong with that? What would she learn? I don't know. When she writes about something, she might say it wrong. She might do it wrong. She might not understand. She might have to look things up. It's nothing important that you have to learn. The skill of communication is important, but kids always should be trying to communicate. The skill of reasoning is important, because we should be putting them in situations so they have to figure things out. But it isn't, you don't want to make a list of skills, because then it'll be an argument of 50 things that every kid must know, and then there'll be a PISA test. The PISA test, by the way, is the most evil test on the planet. The fact that we have an international organization like OECD making every kid take a test so we can compare countries to country how well they memorize the quadratic formula is insane.
Well, I suppose PISA would argue that they're trying to now change their tests so that they're able to test children's deeper understanding of concepts and also test skills. So I suppose, not that they're here, but we had people from PISA at the last SOT. You perhaps recall, and they spoke at length about how the tests are not just trying to test like rote memorization, essentially. So do you believe the tests have improved at all, or are they as bad as they've always been, really?
All tests are bad. There shouldn't be tests. Why do we have tests? When the only rational government agency about testing is the Motor Vehicle Bureau. The people decide whether you should have a driver's license. They have a stupid test like everybody else. Someone also watches to see if you can drive a car. The only test worth doing is, can you do it? Let's see if you can do it. And is there a teacher test? Well, there might be, but shouldn't the right teacher test be, I'll watch you teach and see what I think and suggest that you make improvements? Why do we have to have tests? As soon as you have a test, which is filling in a blank or multiple choice or any of this stuff, you've just ruined all education. You've made people think that what's important is getting good grades on tests. Well, it's not at all important. Stop it. The only reason it's important is because colleges don't want to work hard at admissions, so they have to have these numbers by your name so they can not have to actually interview you or see who you are. I can remember when I went to college, they predicted that I would have a 2.15 grade point average based upon the fact that I didn't do that well in high school. My SATs weren't so good, so I was going to have a C average. Well, I beat them. I got a 2.14 grade point average because I didn't give a damn. I was never interested in grades, high school, college, or any other time. It's not important. But we have a society which tells you it's important.
You said something interesting. The only, I'm just going to try to stretch this to a bit of an extreme, really. You said, the only like sensible test is one where you actually see someone doing it. So let's take, for example, like professions, critical professions like healthcare. I mean, it would be difficult to argue that the best way to see if a heart surgeon can do heart surgery is to get him to do heart surgery on someone, because if he can't do it, the person will likely die. There are situations in which you do need to be absolutely certain that someone can do something without putting them in a situation where they actually have to do it. So
you think
statement say that all tests are evil. I mean, there's instances in which they're absolutely indispensable, really, aren't they?
No, I don't agree at all. There are plenty of medical tests, tests to get into medical school, more multiple choice memorization garbage. They don't have reasonable tests. Doctors don't pass a test to become a doctor. The reality is that somebody's watching you and seeing how you're doing in medical school, not what you know all the bones, but how you do in various circumstances. So you put them on, you don't have them immediately jump into brain surgery, but they can be an assistant brain surgeon for a while. We can see how they do. It's how we evaluate each other all the time as people.
Yeah.
And the fact is that's not a bad thing to do. We should know that. But this great thing, when I was at Yale and I did graduate admissions, as soon as someone applied with all A's, I rejected them immediately. And the reason is, if you got all A's, it means all you do is study and memorize, study and memorize. You should have something you're more interested in something else, and something you blow off because it didn't make any sense. But if you can get it in every single course, you're just a rule follower. You're not going to come with anything interesting. I don't want you in my graduate program. I want interesting ideas. And you can't give a test for do you have interesting ideas. You actually have to listen to the ideas and think about them and discuss them.
That's fair enough. That's a good point. Okay, I want to move on to education technology a little bit. It's something that I think since the first SOT, you've been a tremendous proponent of education technology, and I think since that time, the world has changed in unthinkable ways, and now we kind of are seeing the use of education technology more and more. And I think you've even made, comments in the past about how you feel, the traditional schooling system is even more perhaps obsolete because of education technology, and how, AI can at some stage replace, human beings in traditional teaching roles. If the pandemic has shown me anything, it's that students don't engage online the way they do in a physical environment. When they're with their peers and they're learning in groups and they're working with each other, which is really what I believe where real learning takes place. It's very difficult to simulate that effectively online. And I found that the only thing technology is really good at doing at this stage is very basic didactic teaching, which doesn't that fundamentally go against the type of teaching that you are a proponent of anyway. So I'm wondering, if you could share your views on that, really.
Well, I would say that this pandemic is killing online education, because instead of actually trying to do it right, they're doing it as wrong as they can possibly do it. Remote learning now means everyone will be on a Zoom call, and I'll be staring at your face to make sure you're paying attention. Now, your average kid in school is not paying attention, but his teacher can't look at every face. So he's passing notes, he's making jokes with his friends, he's doing a whole range of things, of which the class is the most unimportant thing he can do. He's having fun in school because he's hanging out with the other kids and doing things with other kids. The reality is online education could be good, but they're not operating any good online education. The only online education they're doing is remote teaching, which isn't even close to what I'm talking about when I talk about online education. What I talk about online education right now, we have a cybersecurity course, for example, funded by the Defense Department. What do? we put you in a situation which you can't figure out until you now figure it out. Something's happened. We've just been attacked. Fix it. I don't know anything about this. Okay, figure it out. I need some help. Well, you have a question? All right, maybe I'll answer your question. Maybe I won't. But I'll put you in there. In 6 months of behaving like that, and you get hired as a cybersecurity expert because you are one, because you've dived in and learned how to do it. I'm not going to give you a lecture about cybersecurity. You have to actually know how to figure out when something's happening, why it's happening, and how it's happening. And the remote learning we have now is worse than I've ever could possibly imagined. So what we're doing is killing off, just like you just said, online education doesn't work. Well, that doesn't work. Whoever said that? I was never promoting teachers blabbering at you. In no course do I have a teacher talking, ever. What we have is mentors, people who can help you when you need it. And other than that, they leave you alone. My company is called Socratic Arts for a reason. They teach Socratically. What does that mean? It means when you ask a question, we don't necessarily even answer it. We just say, well, what do you think? Well, how would you work that out? It's not about knowing answers. Answers are useless. And so as long as you think remote teaching is what it's now become because of the pandemic, we've just ruined it forever.
But what about younger kids? I mean, it's like, I've seen younger kids, when they're trying to learn using technology, they struggle just to manage the hardware and to use it effectively. When we're talking about education, of course, we're not just talking about engineers using technology in the way that you described. We're talking about kids right from the start. So do you think that the traditional brick and mortar education and a physical learning environment is more meaningful and more relevant for younger kids and will retain that relevance because of the way younger kids learn?
Well, I think it's not fun to be by yourself all day. So if a kid is going to be learning, let's have them be with other kids who are trying to learn the same stuff. But the problem we have is that we always want every kid to learn exactly the same stuff no matter who they are. We need to ask, who are you? What do you like to do? I was on a cruise recently, and I had nothing to do, so I interviewed everybody, asked everybody, what did you like to do when you were a little kid? One after the other said, puzzles. I like to do puzzles. So then I asked people what they did now. Every person who said puzzles was a doctor. Okay? And you can see the relationship between puzzles and doctors. So I want to build the puzzle curriculum that lets kids who like to do puzzles, and then move on into medical issues and doing diagnosis. And they could be doing diagnosis when they're 12. They don't have to become doctors at 12, but they don't have to go through memorizing phyla in biology class or sp3 binding in chemistry class, which has nothing whatever to do with being a doctor, but it's the stuff we make the kids do before they go to medical school. There's no reason for it. Every piece of the system is designed for no good reason, just the way we always did it. And it turns out the curriculum we're teaching is pretty much the same curriculum the Romans taught to create orators in the forum. It's what they call it the Artis Liberalis curriculum. Sound familiar? But we still are pushing this idiotic curriculum and learn history, learn philosophy, learn literature, so you can give a speech in the forum. But we don't have anyone giving speeches in the forum anymore. Now we have people with a different world. And learning to interact with other kids is important. Yes, that should be part of it, for sure. But it shouldn't necessarily mean sitting quietly with a bunch of other kids listening to a teacher talk. That's what it should not mean.
Absolutely. Okay, so just moving. So, one of the issues that struck me while you were talking is, that the world already, particularly, developing countries, are facing tremendous resource constraints in terms of, teaching faculty. And generally, as educators in Beacon House, what we found is that when you have much more teacher-led learning, and when you are letting each student be a self-directed learner, it is resource intensive. You need more teachers. You generally need smaller classes. You need more personalized attention. The mentorship role that you're referring to is actually far more challenging, and it requires more time than traditional teaching. So how can you realistically, especially let's say in a Pakistani context, we have a developing country, don't have resources, really realistically expect to, give, over 200, about what, like 70 or 80 million children, individualized learning plans which are specifically catered to how they want to learn. Is that really doable?
Yes, it's doable, and Pakistan is just as doable in Pakistan as anywhere else. I know you don't want to do it, but it is absolutely doable. Why? It's doable because when you have a teacher who is standing in front of a class all day, that's a lot of work, and they're teaching 30 kids, and classrooms are a bad idea. That's the first problem. But imagine that you had that same teacher who was an expert in something, doesn't matter what, and they were mentoring a lot more than 30 kids, because not every kid has a question every minute, and they're not all there at the same time. So we have been doing mentoring for a long time. You can mentor hundreds of kids in your specialty, because they're not asking questions every 2 seconds, and you're not lecturing them, so you have the time to do it. And this is not a technology issue at all. It's not an equity issue. You could do it in Pakistan just fine. You won't do it because you want to be a school that sends kids to Oxford. I know that. But the fact of the matter is that you have to do it. Someone has to do it. It probably won't be Pakistan, but it'll be somebody.
So you're arguing that it's actually easier and less resource intensive to do this than traditional education?
I would say it's about the same resources. You need about as many teachers as you ever needed. We have, in our cybersecurity, we keep training cybersecurity mentors. Typically, they're the guy who graduated the class the last session, and now they mentor the next kids. It's not hard to do it. And so what you have problems with is, what we have problems with is that the work is very hard. You want to learn cybersecurity, you're going to work all day, every day for 6 months. Kids aren't used to working like that. They're used to sitting back, listening to a lecture, and trying to cram something in their head before the test, and passing a test, in which case they don't have to do any actual work. The system worked fine for me. I was lazy, and I didn't want to do any work in school. I never did, and I got through.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also aware of the fact that we have to start taking questions soon. So we'll continue this conversation. But if the moderators want to start posting questions in the chat window, I'm happy to start taking them now. But let's continue until they do that, certainly. One of the conversations going on, Dr. Schank, in Pakistan right now, and I think it kind of does link to the conversation we're having, is there's this tremendous tussle between the government and private schools in terms of how education should be approached. And the government is, and not just private schools, I would say, in fact, a lot of intellectuals also have critiqued the government over their intention to make a single national curriculum. And it's the government's argument that one of the roles of education should also be to create national cohesion and to give people an equal playing field and to create some degree of unity in society.
Well, let's be clear what the government position is, because the government position is the same in every country. I want you to think our country is the best country in the world. And I will tell you that 5,000 different times in 5,000 different ways, and how our enemies stink. And that's what they care about. They don't care about education. They care about making people who do what they're told, sit down, shut up, and be patriots. And the classic example of this in my country is every day, every single day, kids get up and they pledge allegiance to the flag with their hand over their heart, and they say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. Now think about that. You're 5 years old. Do you know what the word pledge means? Do you know what the word allegiance means? So they interview the kids and ask them, what are they saying? And most of them think they're saying, I led the pigeons to the flag. and we were happy with that. In fact, I saw something on Facebook just yesterday where the kid's not going to school, so they're not pledging allegiance. So how will they learn to love America? This is terrible. And the parents are always sitting there saying, whatever we did in school was perfect and wonderful. We have to keep doing it. Governments do not give a damn about educating people. They give a damn about having compliant citizens and people who will go join the army when we need you. And this is ridiculous. There's no reason not to think about what jobs there are in our country and do it. I can remember one visit to Pakistan. I was talking to whatever government leader you happen to have at that meeting. And he said, we supply all the telecommunications workers all around the world. And we don't have a single telecommunications course in Pakistan. And I thought, if you're supplying the telecommunications workers, why don't you teach them how to do it? No.
No, I mean, that's true. So, I mean, you would argue that national cohesion and the national agenda really has no place in education then?
Absolutely none. Absolutely none.
Okay.
Every national agenda is identical. I want my country to be future, strong, kill everybody we don't like.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Someone just said that the pizza delivery man is offended. I didn't mean to offend any pizza delivery man for sure. And I do apologize to anyone if I did offend them. Sometimes you say things in these conversations which are misinterpreted or don't come out exactly as you intended. We have a couple of questions. I think both of them are fairly related. And I think we have kind of touched on this, but maybe we can speak about this a bit more. Balance of, letting kids do what they want to do and getting jobs. And the thing is, Dr. Schank, your children may have had interests that subsequently lent themselves to, putting them into productive careers. But it is entirely possible that, someone is interested in something which will not get them a job which will provide them stability or a stable income.
No, because if you're into whatever you're interested in, if you're intensely interested in it, there's something that can come out of that. It doesn't matter what it is. You like drawing pictures, you can become an artist. You like building bridges with blocks, you can become an engineer. It's not true. I got into a fight with somebody in Florida where I live because they had a kid who was smoking marijuana and not going to school and cheating, and they were very concerned, so they brought him to see me. I always get the bad kids. And I stopped there and talked to him for half an hour, and I found out what he really wants to do is be a car mechanic. He really wants to fix cars. So I said to the parents, let him go, introduce him to some nearby mechanic, and let him work at the garage. No, he has to go to college. I said, well, maybe if he does that, he'll want to become a designer of cars. Would you let him do what he wants to do now? No. So they sent him off to military school to discipline him. That worked real well for Donald, too. I mean, the idea that the kid is not motivated to earn a living is never true. This kid was interested in cars. There's plenty of livings to be made working on cars in any of its aspects. And he was a smart kid, so maybe he'd be a car designer. But the issue for us is to find out what the kid wants to do and let him do it. And nobody, even if a kid just wants to play video games all day, so ask him to design video games. He'll probably be excited by that. It's not complicated to take an interest and move it into something that's practical.
Or even play video game tournaments. These days, you can make a lot of money. My son loves video games. He just told me very proudly yesterday that there's a Fortnite tournament going on, and the top prize is like $2 million. And I think if he wins that, I will let him become a professional video gamer after that.
even if he loses that, if he has something he wants to do so badly, don't you think he has to think hard about how to be good at it? Why don't you have conversations with him about what strategies will have him win this game? And what does he have to do? That's called thinking. And instead of making you think about what happened in history 1,000 years ago, let's think about what you want to think about. He wants to think about video games? Fine, let him think about video games.
I mean, so, I just like to take off from that a little bit. In fact, myself when I was younger, I used to love playing video games. I'm glad I didn't make a career out of it. At this stage, isn't there a danger, for example, if I let my son spend too much time doing what he wants to do at the expense of learning other base skills, that subsequently, if he decides that it's not his life's calling, he will not have the foundational knowledge required to pivot and do something?
This is nonsense. What skills are you worrying about? If you're worrying about can he talk, then talk to him. If you're worried, can he write, then ask him to write you an essay on what happened in the last video game. I mean, I'm not suggesting you can't suggest they learn the things they need to learn. If there's mathematics in a video game, I don't know about it, but it might be. But in any case, also, I think mathematics is the most overtaught subject in the world. There's no reason to be teaching it and jumping up and down about how we have to teach calculus, we have to teach algebra. No one uses that stuff. It's 1 out of 1 million people ever use it, but it teaches you to think. No, it doesn't. Everything teaches you to think. We live in a world of nonsense about it teaches you to think. And I'm telling you that video games teach you to think too, but no one's pushing them.
No, I agree with you. They absolutely can teach you to think. I think they're severely underrated. And in fact, they have been used effectively as teaching tools. In fact, Microsoft Minecraft is a perfect example. Video games have been used very effectively as teaching tools. So, Dr. Schank, I'd like to talk a little bit more about your own curriculum. So, your own story-centered curriculum is well known in educational circles. Our own people have read about it in our Verse Connect. Can you maybe tell me and the audience a bit more about your own curriculum and how it works?
Well, we have hundreds of them. I mean, we built a lot of courses, but they all have the same basic structure. Here's a problem, fix it. I don't know how to fix it. Okay, well, here's some resources you could use to find out. Here's some people you could talk to about it. What do you think the first step would be? Well, maybe try this. Well, try it and see what happens. It doesn't matter what the curriculum is. We're teaching you to be a doctor. We do the same thing. We hand you a very difficult patient you have to talk to, and you got to figure things out. You want to be a politician? We have a course on how to be a politician, how to deal with this. It's all doing stuff. So it's all about throwing you in situations, simulated situations, as best we can, of real life issues where you can figure something out and get good at it. And that's what there is to education. That's all there ever was to education.
So there's also, there are a lot of people now saying that in the 21st century, we're entering a phase where, entire professions and jobs are going to disappear in the blink of an eye. So many things are going to be taken up by AI and automation, and that people will need.
Come on. Don't believe everything you read in the newspapers. AI is not taking over hardly anything. AI doesn't exist. They like to write about it, but it doesn't exist.
It's about to take over driving jobs very soon. Well, I mean, you're not going to have drivers. I mean, with autonomous cars,
you drive in the car. I'm not
driving. Are about to lose their jobs. I mean, that's
not true.
Certainty.
It's not true. You couldn't get me into a self-driving car. I know perfectly well what the problems are in self-driving cars. Something runs in front of you. You slam on the brake. Can you tell whether it's a dog, a cat, or a baby? And if it's a dog, would you feel differently than if it were a cat? And are you going to cause an accident because it's a squirrel and you don't give a damn about squirrels? So you can.
Those are the same decisions that a human being would make, right? How is the AI?
Those are the decisions an automated car has to make. There aren't going to be automated cars. It's very difficult to build. People have been saying this for years. I worked at the Stanford AI lab in 1968. There was a big sign over the parking lot: "Caution, robot vehicle." 1968. We've been making this bullshit up for a long time. You don't spend 2 seconds being afraid of what AI is going to do. There are jobs going to come and go based on a lot of other things. I mean, for example, I think at some point we have to outlaw plastic because it's everywhere and taking over the world. So whoever manufactures plastic, I hope loses their job soon. But the reality is that the real problems we always have are the same, which is dealing with other people. And there will always be people jobs. And learning in the way I propose is actually very people intensive. It may be online, but you're constantly dealing with people, fictitious people or real people who are causing trouble. And you've got to figure out what you're going to do about them. And what we like to do is we like to give a lot of lip service to things. I had a client, I won't name them, a very big company, who hired me to build sexual harassment training. And so put up a girl on the screen and say, harass, yes or no? And so finally I came up with an answer. The answer was, I will train you for a job you're never going to get, to be the judge in a sexual harassment case of whether something bad happened. And people can present the cases, and you can determine what you think is right or what is wrong, and then you'd have to learn about it and ask questions, and I think that would be good. The people in this company loved it. They were so happy. What happens is the woman I were in charge of us was a very attractive girl. So I said, well, how is it? She says, well, if you don't mind the fact that the people in charge of the course are harassing me the whole time, it was fine. No one has actually learned from taking a course. Okay, the problem with courses is they don't actually work. You learn from real life. So the issue is to make courses as much like real life as possible.
I absolutely agree with that. I think that we do need to do that, and I sincerely hope that at some stage in the near future, universities do change the way in which they assess students, so that schools are.
They can't. No, they can't. Universities, for example, my secretary called me one day and said, my daughter is going to school and she wants to go into merchandising of clothing, and they're requiring her to take an art history course. Why would she have to take an art history course? I said, because the art history faculty in that school lobbied very hard to make people take their course so they won't get fired. Because if no one takes their course, they'll get fired. So they made her take an art history course. There is no reason for this. The reason required courses in college are always for the good of the faculty. They're not good for the good of the students. There's no reason to have a required course. But school after school has required courses because it's good for them. I'm just suggesting that universities have to rethink. They won't do it voluntarily. I was a professor for a long time. I wouldn't have agreed to rethink either. I like my lazy job where I don't have to do anything. The issue is, can you make people start thinking about this differently? And no university is going to stand up and say, we're going to change, because the faculty would kill them. Whoever announced that would be fired in a minute. But you have to understand that you could change. You could change. We've had this conversation before. And there's a question up here in the chat saying, would Dr. Schank come to Pakistan and set up a school for us? Yeah, I would make it work. Because the real issue is that you have to set up a school in a different way than you're doing. But you can't just do it without widespread approval of parents and teachers. That's the hard part.
Correct. Well, Dr. Schank, you'll be happy to know that you provided tremendous inspiration to us. And even though we may not have reached your ideal model yet, your views from the initial SOT have definitely resonated with us and have pushed us to try to do whatever we can to make education more experiential, contextual, and closer to real life. But we're also, I'm aware of the fact that we've just run out of time. It's been a great conversation, Dr. Schank. Again, I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us one more time. And it's been enlightening and illuminating for me, as it always is. And I would like to also thank our viewers for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed this discussion. I'd also like to remind everyone to please give us your feedback. You just have to go to the SOT website and give us your feedback. It will help us make these events more engaging and interesting in the future. But thank you, everyone, for joining us, and good night. Or good morning, depending on where you are.
Right.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Dr. Schank.